So integration of psychological trauma. Again, we've touched on this before, but let's be very specific and let's look at a case study here. So the lucid dream state is at its lowest level, most baseline level, a three-dimensional virtual reality simulation of your own psychology. When you walk around a lucid dream, you are literally walking around a three-dimensional projection of your own mind. Everything is you. I say 99.9% of everything is you because personally, off record, I believe there's a crucial 0.1% that is not us, which is made up of the collective unconscious or made up of certain aspects which are beyond the sense of self, but let's say 99.9% is you. So, because you're inside your own psychology, you can make very powerful changes to your psychology while you sleep. How will you know if those psychological changes have worked? There will be a visceral, experiential knowledge of it the next day. So let's say you are scared of spiders. Any arachnophobes in here? Wow, there used to be loads more. No one's scared of spiders anymore. Okay. Let's say you're scared of spiders. In a similar way to cognitive behavioral therapy, you could use lucid dreaming to engage minimum exposure, maximum, medium exposure, maximum exposure. For example, becoming lucid, going, all right, I'm dreaming. What did I want to do? So you make a plan. Don't go in the lucid dream blind. There's so much to do in the lucid dream state that unless you go in with a plan, you can easily get distracted, or just, for a lot of people, their first lucid dream is like this. I'm lucid. Oh my God, it's so real. Boom, and you wake up. Like, it happens, right? But go in with a plan. People say, why are my lucid dreams so short? I say, because you try to do so little. The lucid dream space itself, if we think, like Jung said, the conscious unconscious, it doesn't like tourists, it like travelers. So if you go in, there's a tourist, I'm lucid, oh, cool. Oh, wow. The dreamer, that kind of consciousness within the dream is going, dude, I've been doing this for a lot longer than you've been getting lucid. You're bringing me nothing, out. But if you get lucid, and as soon as you're lucid, you go, childhood trauma, come to me, I'm ready to integrate you. The dreamer's like, whoa, okay, let him hang out. This guy means business, yeah? Really, you can test this stuff. For the first few years, I was teaching the opposite. I was saying, oh, in your first few lucid dreams, just take it easy, don't do too much, just kind of look around. And people were having really short lucid dreams. And then I realized I'm teaching the wrong thing here. Aim high. Go in really big. And actually there's something in the dream that kind of respects that and will open up the lucid dream to allow that healing to occur. So go in with a plan. The example I'll share here is my friend Kerry. She knew that her relationships with men had been detrimentally affected by some kind of abuse that had happened, basically, when she was a kid, involving men. And she wanted to use the lucid dream state to try and integrate this trauma. Now, she had an idea that the trauma might manifest as kind of a cloud of red smoke or as a monster or something like that. Because if I asked you to draw what your trauma looks like, whatever you draw on the paper is probably how it might appear in your lucid dream. It's based on your imagination, right? So she was expecting something like that. But something very different happened. She became lucid, and with this dream plan to integrate the childhood trauma stuff, the abuse stuff. And when she was lucid, even before she could call for it, it appeared. And she said to me, Charlie, I would have rather it was a monster, because what appeared was actually the dude, the guy. And remember how real I said it feels. It looks as real as the person sitting next to you now. And she said, to see him again, so real. She was like, no, okay, just remember, I'm dreaming, I'm safe. Where is my body? My body's in my bed in a locked bedroom, probably the safest place it can be in a 24-hour period. Where am I now? I'm inside a virtual reality simulation of my mind. I cannot die in this place. I cannot be injured in this place. This place was designed for psychological integration. The REM dreaming state was designed biologically to integrate both memory and trauma in the evolution of the brain. So I'm in a space that's designed for this. I'm safe. So she walks towards him, and she remembers the stuff that we talk about, embracing. You know, if you want to fly in a lucid dream, you do this, right? You do the symbol of flight. Well, who does this? How many Superman flyers do we have in their dreams? Superman flyers? How many swim flyers, like this thing? Yeah, always the swim flyers. Does anyone do the bounce thing, where you're like, boing, boing? Any bouncers? A few bouncers? Okay, yeah. Everyone's got their own method, right? I do the Superman thing. So I'm in a dream, I want to fly, lucid dream, put my hand up like Superman. It's like a symbol. It's the kind of symbol of flight, right? So if you want to show that you're loving something, you're integrating, use the symbol, the universal symbol of acceptance. So I say the hug is the best. Even better than saying, I love you, I accept you, I integrate you. Literally just show it, hug it. So she moves up to this guy, knowing that she's dreaming still, totally lucid, and she embraces him. And she said she could smell him. Like, that's what got to her. She's like, the smell, dude. But she's remembering, okay, this is just my mind, this is just the trauma, it's not real, it's just a dream, and she's hugging him, and he starts to shrink. And he's shrinking, and then he goes, boom. And this abuser has transformed. And she looks down, and there's a baby, like wrapped in a white blanket. And she bends down and picks up this baby. And she's holding the baby in her arms, and she said, that's when the healing began. Because I could see that he was a baby once. He wasn't born an abuser, he wasn't born a monster. He was born innocent. And once I could see that, I could start to open up to forgiveness. And she's holding this baby in her arms, and she starts chanting this Buddhist mantra to her, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. And then she said this big rush of air moved through the dream, like someone had opened a door on a cold day, and it went whoosh, and then she woke up. I have no evidence for this, but I'm almost certain within the Buddhist tradition would agree with this, that rush of air was a release of chi, was prana. Because in this tradition, we believe that trauma gets kind of stuck in your energy systems and can kind of clog up your pranic flow. So when you release a trauma, you can often have this kind of, I think in the dream it was that. No evidence for that, just a hunch, but I think that was her chi being released. So she woke up, she had a very visceral response to this. She emailed me about it to tell me. But she said actually it was a few weeks later that she saw the real effects of the lucid dream. She saw that her relationship with her dad was changing. Now, she hadn't spoken to her dad for a couple of months at this time. Her dad was nothing to do with the abuse. She says, be very clear about that. But because of what had happened, all of her relationships with men were affected, including that with her dad. She could never quite connect. They were always having these fallouts. But she said since that lucid dream, she felt closer to her dad. They reconnected. And the last email she sent was saying, I taught my dad the mantra, and now we sing it together. And that has changed her relationship with men, and she's in a happy relationship now. So, just one example, but you can work very directly with specific psychological trauma through the lucid dream state. Now, those who may be worried about re-traumatization, go back to something I mentioned right in the middle of that story. If you look at how REM sleep developed in mammals, and especially in us, in humans, there's a theory that the reason we came to be top predators on this planet, by Antti Ravonsa, a Finnish neuroscientist, is not only our ability to dream vividly, but specifically our ability to have nightmares. Back in the day, right, cavemen and cavewomen time, if you could be having nightmares about lions, tigers, and bears, you were less likely to be eaten by them the next day compared to the dude down the road who didn't have that nightmare. Because nightmares, we rehearse our survival systems. If you're spending all night dreaming about a saber-toothed tiger, and one dream you fight it, the other dream you climb up a tree, the other dream you get eaten by it, the next day you're less likely to be killed by the saber-toothed tiger because you've rehearsed these survival mechanisms. So because of that, we now know that dreams are not only a place for reconsolidation of memory. We know this in all the rat studies. They did rats finding cheese in a maze, put a little brain scanner on a rat. I don't know how you do that apparently, but it must be tiny. You check what it's dreaming about. The rats who are dreaming about finding the cheese in the maze, the next day they find the cheese quicker, stuff like that. So we know that dreaming is about reconsolidation of memory. We also know it's about integration of trauma, simply because back in the day, cavemen, cavewomen times, most memories were traumatic. Life was tough, guys. Like people were whacking you over the head, like very high, you know, people were living to 20, that was like old age. Life was tough. So the REM dreaming sleep state was designed to integrate trauma. This is why if you become lucid and you call out for a traumatic event, or you call out to integrate the trauma, you're actually less likely to be re-traumatized in the lucid dream state than even possibly in waking state one-on-one therapy. Simply because the crucible of the dream state was designed to integrate trauma. If you go into a lucid dream and you call out for something you are not ready for, you simply wake up. Anyone who's had a nightmare and woken up with a shock knows that. So actually there's like a safety valve in the dream state. So I believe actually it's possibly a safer place to look at trauma, maybe in some cases than waking state therapy. Who knows? But we know at least the possibility for re-traumatization in lucid dream is very, very low when compared with waking state therapy. So I would say go in there and try. And if it's too big, the dream will just do nothing. There seems to be literally a safety mechanism.